This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode. Before I dive into today's subject, I wanted to share with you a little story. In fact, this is a story that GVU members will have heard the full version of in the private podcast section at Good Vibe University, where we have nearly 100 episodes that were not meant for public ears. That's one of the member perks, new private weekly episodes of LOA Recon. So if you ever wished for more episodes of this podcast, they are happening at GVU. And podcast listeners here can get in on the VIP membership special by enrolling at gvuspecial.com. Okay, here's the story I wanted to share with you. There was a dog wandering in our pasture one afternoon. A cute little dog who didn't look like he was doing super well. He looked overheated, maybe like he'd been outside longer than he should have been. He looked like he needed help, and we did not recognize this dog. And this was the day that we had the entire valley lost all cell and internet service. So there was no way to text a picture to neighbors. There was no way to post in any of the local groups. All we could do, you couldn't even call a neighbor and ask if they were missing a dog. All we could do is go door to door in person asking if anyone knew where this dog belonged. So that's what we did. I say we because Chad was holding this dog on his lap while I drove us around. It was a hot part of the day. We were going to a bunch of houses. So we're driving around, ringing doorbells, knocking on doors, hollering at people in their backyards. And one of the neighbors that we went to visit was a neighbor I had never met before, despite the fact that she has been here well before I got here. And how long have I been here? It's got to be 9 years this summer. She's been here this whole time. Okay, I got to give you a little backstory. That one of my back burner manifestations that I haven't been giving too much attention to, and sometimes that's what works best if you don't make it a big deal. But one of my back burner manifestation projects is an in-person girlfriend, which I have had some success with here and there, but not to the extent that I would really like. So, all right, keep that backstory in mind. We ring a doorbell, and this woman did not answer her doorbell. No, she did not. She came around back, and she looked exactly like I would look like if someone rang my doorbell in the middle of the day when I was not expecting company. She'd been out working in her yard, getting sweaty in her comfy gardening clothes. I gotta say, as soon as I laid eyes on her, I liked her instantly. It was almost like, you know how they talk about love at first sight? You lock eyes with someone across from the room and you instantly recognize them as someone who's important to you. Okay, I don't want to be creepy, but I loved her instantly. I loved so many things. So we introduce ourselves to each other. Oh my gosh. This is a public episode, so I'm not going to give too many details because I want people to want to be friends with me. I don't want to talk about everyone in every podcast, but oh my gosh, I loved it. The more I learned about her, the more I fell in love, and not just because she has baby goats that she invited me to come over and play with anytime. But also what she is doing with those baby goats is one of my dreams. I entertained this fantasy once upon a time. She's actually doing it. Oh my word, instant love. This girl turns out to be a kind of dog savvy that, I got mad respect for. Mad respect. I never knew this about her. She's been here this whole time, right under my nose. How often does that happen, universe? I do feel, though, like universe did this, like it opened a door to a possibility that this could be one of the manifestations that I have been calling in. It just felt like, meeting a soulmate. I said Chad was sitting in the car while we were driving around. I probably talked to her for way longer than a girl should let her boyfriend sit in a hot car with a dog who's lost. Way longer. I talked to her for a long. I know I'm gushing, but that's what it felt like. It felt like delight and connection and possibility and belonging. oh, like when you meet someone that's like, oh, like-minded person. Oh my word. It just made my day. There were a lot of fabulous things in that day, but wow, that was definitely one of my favorites. Okay, that's the story I wanted to share. As I dive into today's subject, which is, I wanted to suggest that in case you aren't already actively using your personal stories as part of your vibration management plan, I wanted to spotlight the power of this asset for helping you manifest your dreams and desires. Because we each have them, stories from our past that can take us to very powerful vibrations, and these stories are particularly potent for activating certain vibrations within us. Just like every word has a vibration associated with it, so does every story. And stories can activate a wide variety of feelings within the person experiencing the story, either as the listener or the teller. Feelings like hope or victory or peace or acceptance or love or joy. The list goes on. Of course, stories can also activate fear and dread and regret, but for our purposes, we're choosing our stories deliberately for their ability to raise our vibration and create better alignment with whatever it is that we want to manifest. Because we know this conscious creation game. All we got to do is find a way to feel now how we'll feel when we have what we want. Whatever we desire, there is a feeling associated with the manifestation of that desire that you can activate now to make you a better match for having it. Because we can't create what we're not the vibration of. So conscious creation is all about finding a way to be the vibration of whatever it is we want. That's the feeling essence of our desire that we're activating. Finding that feeling essence of the desire is a powerful way to get universal wheels turning in favor of our dream come true. So that's where stories come in. When we leverage our personal stories to activate vibrations within us, that helps us manifest what we want because it helps us feel now how we would feel then. That's why it's worth being aware of and consciously leveraging our bank of personal stories. These are manifesting assets that you can engage to create vibrational alignment with what you want because you've got great stories. And when you recall those stories, when you relive them as you remember it to yourself, it creates a present moment activation within you that I think is more powerful than just visualizing something that's never happened to you yet. I mean, look, visualizing with your imagination is fabulous. I always love it as a key part of any manifesting process. But when you've got a personal story that you can remember to yourself, that is tough to top, the activation that happens there. And look, other people's stories can be valuable too, but your own are even more so because they're so personal. For example, I've noticed for me personally, and often for many of my clients, that the key feelings in the things that I want, it often includes feelings of satisfaction and enjoyment. So when I make a point of retelling myself or recalling one of my personal stories where I felt strong satisfaction and enjoyment, that takes me straight to the manifesting sweet spot that I'm aiming for with all my other alignment methods. And those are great too. I'm not saying don't use those, but this is one that I think is highly underutilized and crazy cool, powerful when we get deliberate about using our own stories as alignment techniques. Like the story I just told you about potentially meeting someone that might be key to one of the manifestations I've been wanting for a while. That feeling of connection and excitement. There's some excitement in there too, isn't there? Plenty of hope. All sorts of good things are in there. Or like the time when I threw my engagement ring at my fiance. Look, that is one of my favorite stories. It doesn't sound like very fun, and I'm not going to say it was fun at the time. I had shaky hands when I did it, but I threw an engagement ring at his head. It was fueled by newly discovered worthiness for myself in that moment. Like I just realized I deserved better. It was a game changer for me. I was young. I mean, I know way better now, but back then, this was a really pivotal moment of embracing what I deserved, what I was worth. There was not an amount of I am worthy affirmations that could compete with the feeling I feel when I remember that story to myself. Or like the story of the time I volunteered at the pet adoption fair at PetSmart for the first time. And all they asked me to do was scoop litter boxes and give dogs potty breaks all day long. And this was at a busy location. It was getting a lot of traffic, and there were only a few volunteers. So I was busy all freaking day just scooping boxes and walking dogs one after the other after the other. I didn't have time to think about any of it during the day. So at the end, when it was over, and I stood there with a scooper in my hand, wondering what had just happened to me, like it had been a whirlwind of a day. I hadn't known what to expect. Oh my gosh, I felt something like I have never felt before. I'm getting teary-eyed just recalling it. I felt fulfillment and satisfaction and like purpose. Like I had accidentally stumbled on my reason for being here. I knew my purpose in a way I had never known it before. I knew I was right where I belonged, doing what I was meant to do, helping animals in a way that I was capable. I mean, I don't know what universe could have given me that would have been any better than that at that time in my life. It was, especially because who I was doing it with, not just I got to hang out with dogs and cats for a cause that I cared deeply about, but I was doing it side by side with other people who cared about the same things that I cared about. These were my people. That experience, when I recall that, fulfillment, purpose, satisfaction, man, can you feel it too? I bet you're getting a good whiff of those vibrations right now, although maybe I shouldn't say whiff in a story that has cat poop in it, but look, our story assets, that's what I think of them. These are assets for your manifesting success. They don't have to be iconic. They don't have to be bigger than life. They don't have to be giant moments from your history. They can be plucked from the moments of last week. Like when I was watering poppies the other day, I happened to glance over at this dead baby Norway spruce that didn't make it through transplanting last year. Except guess what? It did make it through. It had green tips. I had been watching it all spring long, waiting, hoping that it was going to come back, and it didn't. It was just so crunchy. I had a couple other people look at it with me, and we all came to the same conclusion. There was no hope for that tree. It was not. It was lights out for the baby Norway spruce. Oh, except there were green tips on it. It was resurrected. This baby spruce was one of my favorite things I had planted the year before, so when it didn't make a comeback, I felt bad for it. But, I told myself you got a pretty good track record in this yard, you can't complain. So I made some peace with it, and I figured, well, maybe I didn't have room for it anyway. I was just really trying to be okay with it, just doing some self-soothing around it. So when I saw those green tips, oh my gosh, I celebrated, I appreciated, I ran, I got my camera, my phone, I took pictures, I sent pictures to everyone who would listen to me about it. I used it in coach sessions as an example of don't ever give up hope. The feeling of this was victory. That's what it felt like, victory and miracles and achievement. Because yes, I wanted to take credit for I watered it when it was just nothing but dry. I kept watering. I kept hoping. It's kind of a story of perseverance too, right? Like don't give up even when it doesn't look good. Hold the faith. Oh my gosh, such good vibrations in that story for me. You've got good stories too, right? Are you using them in your manifesting practice? I hope so, because I think it's an easy way for us into the vibrations that we want. So if you're not already doing this, you could start by simply asking yourself, how will you feel when you have what you want? Whatever your current desire is, when that manifests, how's that going to feel to you? Maybe it's something like relief or triumph or appreciation or joy or excitement, whatever that feeling is. Search your memory banks for a time when you strongly felt that before. You're looking for a powerful experience of it. Maybe it was like the first time you felt it, or a time that really stands out where this feeling was unmistakably present as the key feeling. And it might take a few days to think of something, so don't be discouraged if nothing comes to mind immediately. But when it does, make a note, because this is one of your best manifesting assets. Write it down. Keep it handy and use it when you want to activate the vibration of what you want by just reminding yourself, reliving the experience of it. Walk yourself through it again. Or tell someone else who will listen to you. Sometimes having a listener is a powerful way to re-experience it. You don't have to do it every day, but, maybe a couple times a week might be good. Feel it out for yourself. Trust your guidance. But I think this is really one of the most underused assets in our manifesting practices. Pro tip. It can be super handy to have a couple of stories for any given vibration so that you can cycle through a couple of them instead of just relying on one. Like, I got more than one story of satisfaction and fulfillment. And worst case scenario, if you don't have a story for a vibration that you'd like to activate, you can use someone else's. A good book, or a movie, or an interview, or a podcast episode, maybe. I know how many of you love my crackhead neighbor story for feeling things like, hopeful or empowered as a conscious creator. That one's got a lot of good things in it. All right, I hope you got some inspiration from this episode. If you put this into practice, I would love to hear about it. Thanks for listening, everyone, and happy manifesting.